Hello. Thank you for joining me today as we celebrate World Book and Copyright Day right through this month. Today we'll be talking to another amazing author. Her book speaks to family engagement. I really don't want to disclose much more than that. So see you in the Quip Corner. Debbie, welcome to the Quip Corner. I'm glad you could join me in the Quip Corner. Thank you for honoring my invitation.
Well, thank you for having me. I really have been looking forward to this opportunity, and it was wonderful talking with you.
Nice. So why don't we start off by you telling us who you are? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Debbie Roppolo. I'm an author, a children's author mostly. I've also authored some Irma Bombeck type humor, which is humorous parenting stories that I think you and I could relate to. Stories like the boys putting underwear on your dog and marching it around. Oh yeah, in front of the family, and stories like that. Also, I began my writing journey as a journalist.
Oh.
And did a little bit of sports writing, not a whole lot, but I felt my passion was in writing stories for children.
Okay.
And I've had a few stories accepted for Chicken Soup for the Soul books in the past. Thank you. About 5 Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And that's a story for another day. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you briefly. My very first story I had published in Chicken Soup, I thought it was a spam call, meaning it was someone to call me life insurance.
Yes.
So I hung up on her.
Oh.
And she called me back and said, my name is Amy from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and we'd like to publish your story. And that's whenever my writing career really began, was submitting some of those stories to them. Currently, I am an editor-in-chief for Dancing with Bear Publishing.
Okay.
I am the zookeeper to a group of chickens, 2 dogs, a cat, and 2 boys. And I'm also married to a wonderful, loving husband by the name of John.
Aww.
We reside in the Texas Hill Country, where we have all kinds of adventures.
I can imagine.
And thank you. The book I'm most proud of is the book we'll be talking briefly about today, He's My Brother.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that intro. It's I was smiling because when you talked about being a zookeeper, I said, okay, so how paradoxical that you work in a company that has a name that includes an animal. I guess animals are attracted to you. What can I say? Okay. So let's talk a bit about the book you're here to promote. Yesterday was April 2nd, as you know, is World Autism Awareness Day. And, from our previous conversations, autism is something you know firsthand. So why don't we talk about your book and, tell us the backstory and the inside story of your book, please.
Okay, well, the name of my book is He's My Brother. And autism is a neurological disorder, as many of you already know, that affects now 1 in 68 children worldwide. No one is really able to pinpoint the cause of autism. They only know that it affects boys 5 times more than it does girls.
Oh, that I had never heard.
Right. And there's some case studies that indicate that girls have different symptoms, and it's a little bit, for some reason, harder to detect in females than it is males.
Oh, okay.
I never thought, I'd always heard about autism in the past, but I never thought it would personally affect me until my younger son, Joseph. was diagnosed around the age of 2, it seemed like someone was just shutting off a lamp. He wasn't making direct eye contact. He couldn't communicate, period. He had meltdowns in public. Lights seemed to bother him, very bright lights. Loud noises seemed to bother him. If we changed plans abruptly without any warning, that really upset him too, is changing a schedule. And these are also traits of autism. People on the autism spectrum can't communicate or have limited communication. And it also impairs the way that they interact with people. Some people on the spectrum don't want to be touched. Some people prefer to be alone. It's like being in a glass box.
Oh, wow.
It's one way that someone described autism to me. But my son was diagnosed at the age of 2, and my husband and I were very fortunate, and we had each other to support. We supported each other.
Yeah.
We really focused on finding the best therapies we could for our son Joseph, because early intervention is the key. There's no cure for autism, but the sooner it's diagnosed, the sooner intervention is implemented, the better chances they have for success. So we started on that immediately. We were so focused on trying to find these supports for our younger son, Joseph. We didn't per se neglect our younger son, Jonathan. We still took care of him and did the parently duties, but we didn't realize a lot of our attention was on Joseph.
Oh, wow.
Rather. And Jonathan began to act out. He's a very easygoing individual, which you saw earlier, kind of rolls with the punches, but he became a little withdrawn, a little bit sullen. So one day I cornered him and I said, "Hey, what's going on? You want to talk about what you're feeling?" And he said, "I feel like you've forgotten me.
Oh.
I feel like I'm just a piece of paper that's been shoved aside. All the focus is on Joseph."
Oh, no.
I don't like it whenever we go out in public and people stare at us because he's doing weird things such as flapping and turning in circles.
Yeah.
He said, "That really upsets me and I don't know what to do." And he said, "Here's the thing too, Mom. I'm his big brother. I should be able to fix this."
Oh, no. Wow.
And I can't.
How sweet.
There's nothing I can do to fix this. And it scares me and it frustrates me and it makes me sad to see also how sad it makes you and Daddy. And I worry about Joseph too. And then he really stunned me because he said, "You know, you're a writer." He said, "Maybe there's something you can do." He said, "I know there's other kids in my situation. I know they're just as scared as I am. Couldn't you write a story or something?"
Oh, wow.
That has to deal with someone having autism. So I sat and I thought about it and I came up with He's My Brother. And so the book is based on the conversation that I had with Jonathan. And I'm very excited. It has won an award. Thank you. The Purple Dragonfly Book Award. Thank you. It won first place in its category.
Nice.
But it means more to me because if we can help one child understand what's going on, or somebody can read it and say, "My goodness, that's what I'm thinking," then it's all worth it.
Yeah. Wow, Debbie, thank you for sharing that story. You know, it's bringing tears to my eyes, but I'm going to be a big girl and not cry here. Maybe I'll cry later. But it just shows how in caring for one child, we can inadvertently ignore another child.
Right.
And, you know, it's great that Jonathan spoke up because if he didn't, you might just have thought, oh, he's okay. He can take care of himself, and, you know, it will create other issues in future. And so, yeah, wow, I need a moment to take that in. It's quite a bit, because it depends on the relationship you have built with your children. There's some children who are raised to believe that children are seen, not heard.
Right.
But kudos to you and to your husband for giving Jonathan that space where he could speak and just, you know, express how he felt. And it was really heartrending to hear that he said things like, I'm his older brother, I should be able to fix this. Yeah, that's quite the experience for sure.
Well, thank you. I will admit it still chokes me up. Of course, they are like typical siblings in many ways. We still hear, give me that, it's mine, Joseph. No. So, but he is a wonderful brother.
That's beautiful.
Still to this day, and he has been an advocate.
Nice.
For Joseph. He'll tell people, hey, look, my brother has autism. This is what's going on. So I'm very proud of him.
That's excellent. And so at what age did you have this conversation, you know, where he, shall I say, really challenged you to say, Mom, do something about it. Use your writing skills to help.
He was 12 years old. He was a preteen. Yes, ma'am. And, you know, they always say out of the mouth of babes.
Yes.
And he did floor me with this very adult conversation.
For sure.
And but he was a preteen. He was 12.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful, because the thing is, sometimes we, shall I say, overlook or underestimate our children's ability to perceive things happening in the family, you know, and sometimes we even underestimate whether or not they can contribute.
Right.
This is amazing, amazing.
Right. You're right. We do have a propensity sometimes to say, you're a child, what do you know? But if you stop and you really listen, I'm guilty of doing that myself, because the age that we are now, we think we have years of experience over you, but still our children can be the voice of reason.
Yes, indeed.
And logic. And it's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah,
indeed. Wow. Interesting. Thanks, you know, for sharing that again with us, Debbie. Can you please read a portion of your book to us?
Absolutely. Again, the title is He's My Brother. And it's set actually at a baseball field, because both my boys love one of our local minor league teams called the Round Rock Express.
Okay.
I had a moment. So, Jonathan Roper groaned at the sight of tofu and bean curd packages lining the refrigerator shelves. Great. Mom's on another health kick. He sniffed the containers of alfalfa spouts and gagged. Ew, what does she think we are, a family of cows? He giggled at the thought of his father, mother, him and his brother Cameron all grazing in a pasture. But this won't last long. Not if Cameron has anything to do with it, Jonathan mumbled. He gets his way about everything. Cameron. The thought of his younger brother made Jonathan's stomach tighten. 5 years old and already ruining my life, he mumbled. He frowned at the sight of the few remaining brown packing boxes still decorating the living room and the rest of the 3-bedroom house. If it wasn't for Cameron's autism, I'd still be living in Pleasant Grove and not in this place, an hour away from everything I love. Jonathan closed his eyes, trying to remember the fresh smell of pine trees that lived in the woods behind his house. There were nature walks with his parents on Sunday afternoons. Jonathan had liked how the sun shone through the tree tops, making leaves gleam like silver glitter as they danced in the breeze. If he still lived in his old home, there'd be backyard campouts and video games, playing marathons with his best friend Scotty. Even more important, he'd still be the starting first baseman for his school. Not that he wasn't happy that it had been discovered what was wrong with Cameron. For months, his brother acted strange, flapping his hands when he was excited, putting his fingers in his ears when crying at school band concerts, and spinning in circles a lot. His mother spent months researching therapies for Cameron, but couldn't find any that were in Pleasant Grove. As a result, the family made the decision to move to Mount Salem, almost 50 miles away. It didn't mean an hour commute for his father to work, but Mount Salem was the closest town offering services Cameron needed. During that time, Jonathan rode a roller coaster of emotions. He was scared because he was uncertain about what autism was and what would happen to Cameron. No one took the time to explain it to him. And there seemed to be many people willing to listen to his parents' fears, but no one for him. Every time he tried to talk to an adult, he was told to grow up and be strong for his parents, especially for his mother. In turn, Jonathan wanted to hit something, to yell, "I'm only 12, a kid, I'm still here, someone listen to me." But most of all, Jonathan felt angry at himself. When he and Cameron were younger, he'd saved his brother from the icky thing under the bed. Now his 5-year-old brother had autism, something Jonathan felt helpless in defeating. And also what I've included in this book, there's some things that say, what would you like to know? Yes. Some facts about autism.
Nice.
One of the facts that I really like, it's been rumored that Albert Einstein was on the autism spectrum. There's a lot of researchers that say, just based on the way he acted, they feel he was on the autism spectrum. They feel that he had the higher end of the spectrum, which is Asperger's.
Okay.
Asperger's is the highest functioning form of autism. It's at the higher end. And then you have classic autism, or PP, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, which is what Joseph has.
Okay.
And then you have severe autism, in which they're not able to communicate at all. A lot of them are not able to be potty trained. They have limited control of their bodies. And that is the severe end of autism.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. Whew. So in promoting this book, which is one of the objectives, what message do you have for parents? You know, if I were to ask, what's a one-liner message to parents who have children who either have autism or who they're not sure what's up with? What would that message be?
My message would be, watch your children. Of course, we watch our children anyway. Monitor their milestones. Each child develops at their own pace, but if they're missing their milestones, if there's not any speech at all before the age of 24 months, if they're not making 5 or 6 word sentences, if they're not making direct eye contact, if they're having meltdowns at the grocery store, if they're flapping their hands and spinning, if they're doing any of this, these are just a few of the characteristics of autism. Go to your physician and have your physician conclude if they have autism or not. They might be able to send them to a specialist. If your child is diagnosed with autism, it's not the end of the world. All of us have dreams for our children. I thought perhaps that Joseph was going to be a football star. I imagined him as president of the United States. And those dreams are fine, they're great. But if you have a child with special needs, you have to reimagine those dreams based on what they can accomplish. And just because they have a disability doesn't mean that they're lesser than.
Yeah. Excellent. So nicely put.
Thank you.
So nicely put.
Thank you.
Oh, this is a lot. I'm working on keeping those tears in.
Oh, well, you're doing great.
Yes, I'm sure we are. I'm sure we are. They are right here. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So Debbie, if people are like, wow, that is a book that I can relate with, that, or I know a family that would benefit from, where can people get copies of your book?
Well, they could either contact me on my website, DeborahRoppolo.com. They can get it from Amazon, or they can get it from my publisher at dwbpublishing.com.
Okay, that's helpful. And then, being an author myself, I know there are people who reach out to me to say, I want an autographed copy. Is that something you offer? And if yes, how do we get autographed copies?
Okay, awesome. Yes, ma'am. I absolutely do offer autographed copies, and you can just contact me through debbieroppolo@gmail.com, or you can leave a message through my website, or you can look me up on Facebook, which is debbie.roppolo.
Thank you. That's excellent. So we'll put all these things, beneath this video so people can reach out to you one way or the other.
Okay.
One more question, which I have asked some of the other authors I have interviewed. Say somebody wanted to invite you to speak at an event. How could they contact you? Would it be by email, through your website, or is it something you don't do?
Yes, ma'am, I do some speaking. I like to talk, as you can tell. The best way to get in contact with me is through email at debbieroppolo@gmail.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Debbie, that it's just been wonderful getting to know you better, getting to know about your book and the backstory. Kudos to Jonathan for speaking up to you and making you take action. Well, thanks again for being our guest in the Quip Corner. We truly appreciate it.
Well, I truly appreciate you having me, and it's wonderful to get to know you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you like me? Did you tear up? Well, like I said to Debbie, I did a good job not tearing up. Between you and I, the tears were right here, and I just kept saying, Ada, this is not the time to cry. It was great to hear how a family is dealing with autism. So really, World Autism Day is just a day. There are people who live with and deal with autism every day of their lives. The question I'd like you to consider is, how do you relate with, how do you deal with, how do you support people who have autism, or people who have members of their family who have autism? Being kind to everyone is a great way of dealing with it. So let's do our part. Remember, like Debbie said, having autism is not a death sentence. I hope you consider getting a copy or more of her book and connecting with her. There's so much each of us can do to help those who have autism. Until tomorrow, where we'll be talking to another author about a different book. Take care of yourself and take care of those around you. Bye now.